Well, thank you, Chairman Musher and Ranking Member Landsman and Chairman Williams and all the members of the Small Business Committee for allowing me to testify today on this critical bipartisan bill that impacts all of our districts, the American Innovation and R&D Competitiveness Act. On Tax Day this year, I reintroduced this common sense bill with my colleague John Larson, along with Representatives LaHood, Delbene, Arrington, Panetta, and 56 additional original co-sponsors. The bill will continue to gain support, or has continued to gain support, and has nearly 100 co-sponsors today, evenly split between Republican and Democrat. The bill is straightforward. It corrects a tax issue businesses face when conducting research and development. The American Innovation and R&D Competitiveness Act allows for immediate expensing of eligible R&D expenses, bringing us back to where we were just a few years ago and securing American dominance in research and development. Full expensing for R&D was allowed through the end of 2021. However, since the beginning of 2022, businesses have been required to spread out or amortize the R&D expenses over 5 years for domestic R&D and over 15 years for foreign R&D. Rather than extend immediate expensing for only a few years, this is a permanent solution in this bill that provides clarity and stability for innovators, businesses, and workers. And the legislation will certainly help small businesses here in the United States and encourage economic development. In fact, the Association of Equipment Manufacturers said the bill offers a much-needed boost for equipment manufacturing industry at a time when America faces adverse inflation and strained supply chains. AEM isn't the only organization praising the bill. The National Taxpayers Union featured this legislation on their no-brainer list in 2020. The list is a collection of 10 bills that NTU deems as no-brainer bills that have bipartisan support and should easily pass in Congress. However, they only recognized bills once. They did include this legislation as an honorable mention on the following year and sent letters of support to members of the House Ways and Means Committee in this Congress. The Aerospace Industries Association, Semiconductor Industry Association, Plastics Industry Association, Information Technology Industry Council, and National Association of Manufacturers have written op-eds and issued statements of support. They all know where R&D occurs. Jobs and economic opportunities also follow. And this isn't just about major corporations. R&D supports businesses of all sizes. According to the R&D Coalition, about 15% of private U.S. R&D investments are made by small businesses with fewer than 500 employees. And to some degree, that has a more outline of impact than it does for larger businesses. Right now, the United States is lagging behind in R&D, a trend that's been happening for a while. According to the R&D Coalition, the United States' share of global R&D investment in 2019 was 30%, down from 40% in 1999. Unlike the United States, China's global share of R&D investment has gone up. It was 24% in 2019, a big jump from just 5% in the year 2000. That means China's R&D investments has increased by 400% in just 2 decades. And here's how they changed the direction of their R&D presence. China has implemented a deduction of up to 200% of the eligible R&D investments. That's an equivalent of 10 times what the amount the current U.S. tax code allows. Without an incentive for homegrown R&D, the United States also loses out on creating new jobs. The R&D Coalition says for every $1 billion in U.S. R&D spending, 17,000 jobs earning $1.4 billion are supported in the United States. They also note that unless the R&D amortization policy is reversed, the United States stands to lose 410,000 jobs, $57.5 billion in labor income, and $71 billion in R&D spending over the next 10 years. The American Innovation and R&D Competitiveness Act is the right solution to help small businesses in our districts, from Kansas to Texas to New York to Pennsylvania and everywhere else that could benefit from jobs, opportunities, and economic growth. As a former member of this committee, I know you all have a vested interest in supporting the small businesses that are economic engines for our country, and I hope you'll consider joining me as co-sponsors. Today's research and development dollars creates tomorrow's jobs, and we need to keep R&D dollars inside our country where they can help strengthen American businesses and workers. I want to thank my friend from Connecticut, Congressman Larson. We've worked over multiple Congresses to make this legislation a reality, and now that American companies have had a year without immediate expensing, I'm cautiously optimistic that this is the year that common sense bill will become law. Thank you again for allowing me to testify today, and I yield back.